Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Nat. Today I'm going to play with the Merry and Bright paper collection. So we're just going to have a little bit of a walk through. I've also got, spoiler alert, sneak peek. I also bought the Merry and Bright mini junk journal. Now I'm not too sure how long this has been in the shop, but I haven't seen it yet. So spoiler alert, we're going to deal with this. Not today, but soon. Very soon. Okay, so these colors really appealed to me because they were just muted, what's the word? Antique. Not ancient, another one. Antique. I really like them. So we have little cut aparts. They're not too bad size, they're really good. Brickwork. And each of these will go through, so cute. You'll have 3 of each design. Some more cut aparts. I love that checkered look. Some of these, these cards could just be made super quick and straight out by themselves. This is a bit funky. This sort of goes along the lines with, to me, screams Tim Holtz. But I really like it. Slightly larger cutaways. So you have a variety of the cutaways between these ones, these larger size, and these smaller size. And then they all repeat all over again. So let's quickly get to this. The house is quiet. Everyone's here, but the house is quiet. So it's like, let's do this. Quick. So again, embossed die cuts, because you know this is what I do. These are just funky. They're just funky. They are a little bit out of my comfort zone, but the colour scheme, as I said, is not. But you know, these sort of things, but I still love them. I love them. The cute little owls, the penguin, and Lucky Last. So I'm going to be looking forward to it. What we're going to make. What we're going to make is a fun fold card. So I will be back because I'm going to cut it short now before everyone wakes up or gets up. Okay. So I've cut out some paper, some cardstock. This is just some 12 by 12 cardstock that I had. You actually need 2 of these, but I've already done what I'm doing to 1. Okay. So there you go. So this first piece is going to be, let's put that over there. Where's my bit? This piece is going to be the 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and each of these measurements are going to be the same. Okay, so we're going to score this at 1 inch, 2 inches, 5 1/4. Just making sure I've got that set. 6 1/4. And then we're going to rotate. And we're going to do that again. Okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. 1, 2, 5 1/4, 6 1/4, and then you go 7 1/4. Don't press too hard because you're going to go through. Okay? So what we're going to do is we've got everything's all symmetrical and great. So what I'm going to do is I'm cutting these 3 pieces off in each of the corners. Okay? That one, and that one. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go, now I'm not on the edge, so I'm going to have all this chopped off. Well, no, I won't, because this won't. But I'm going to go straight down here. So what we're going to do is go straight down on the score line. There. How is that crooked? Okay, don't do that. I'm just trying to see. It's getting dark, so I don't know how long. But everyone is in their rooms. I won't say in bed because they're a bunch of adults, but in their rooms. Okay, this is what's going to form as your lid. All right, so now we've got these 2 bits. So what you need to make sure you do is go up to the first score line, and this one goes to the second score line, okay? And don't cut that corner off. It's not good, just saying, but you know. So you go up to, if you got the cut line there, go up to the first score line, and then go up to the second score line. And I'm going to straighten this up because that's going to annoy me. I like to cut these in, okay? Some people do, some people don't, but so where we've got, this is going to be our tab. This is tabs as well. I'm only taking off the corner on the very edge there. Can you see that? Let's just cut this corner off. And then I'm also going to cut that little corner. Just a tiny bit. Doesn't have to be much. Just make sure you don't go through there. Okay? If you do cut that off, this is going to be a slightly longer video because, you know, I'm not speeding anything up, which is what I usually do. If you do cut the corner off, use one of these pieces that already has the score line, and I'm just going to snip that down a little bit. That is going to be your hinge. I would cut those at an angle. You put that in there, and wham bam, and you have part of a tab. Okay? No big drama. We can work with it. We can deal with it. I'm just saying. This is what happens when you get no. This is all the texture side, that's the word. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to score, let's move that out for a second. I'm going to score all these as valley folds, which means they go up. Voila, see, they go up. Mountains go, they go down, mountains go up, valleys go down. Did I mention it's the end of the day? Okay, so these are all going to be valleys. They're going to go down. This has been done many, many times, different sort of styles. This is what I'm going to do in cutting off my little corner bits. Like always, you do you, boo. It's all good. So I'm just sort of folding all those down just roughly. As I said, this is going to be the lid. And what we're going to do is get some glue. Get some glue, baby. And if you've chopped off your tab accidentally, this is where you're going to be sticking the pieces that you cut off. Now, if you left the edge on, it may be a little bit easier in the sense of lining that up. But if something is a little bit screwy, then you also have that problem. So I don't mind this, but you know, you do you. So you want to have it flush against the tap of your fold. Okay, give it a little bit of press. Do that with each and every single one. Make sure you don't go too crazy with the glue because, you know, you don't want any oozing. And that is one downfall with glue. And that's going to tuck in. And I just press those down for a little bit and run my fingers like I'm doing that sort of thing up against my desk. Now, as I said, we're going to do Merry and Bright paper collection. I actually started doing a black one. And it would look cool, but I just, it's It's merry and bright. Like, it's not going to be very terribly bright. It's going to look nice, don't get me wrong. But I thought about doing some red. Oh, I forgot. I thought about doing some red, but honestly I didn't have, how many sheets have I got? There's 2 9s, 4, 5. I didn't have 5 sheets of the same colour, you know, because sometimes colours can be hard. Reds can be hard to match up and be the same thing. And I had a bunch of black, and I had a bunch of this one, and I went, that will do, that will do, that will do, pig, that will do. You can tell I've had kids that are roughly in their late teens to early 20s, can't you? So again, we're just burnishing that down. And this is going to give our little box a nice solid lip. So that's our lid. So we're going to put him aside. Okay, so these are our drawers. Now, as I said, you're going to have 2 of these, and I've already done 1. Okay, so, you know, again, this is what we're doing. Okay, which looks a lot like that, but it's a lot smaller and like depth-wise, and it's bigger lengthwise. So, anywho, this is, as I said, this is 9 by 9. So these measurements are again going to be the same this way and this way. So we're going to do measurements, rotate it around, wham bam, thank you ma'am. So 1.5, 3, 6, and 7.5. Rotate, because that's what we said we were going to do. 1.5, 3, 6, and what did I say? 7.5. Okay. So again, we're basically going to do the same. Okay, we're going to get rid of these 3 squares on each corner. And again, we're going on one of these. So you can pick, you can go, I tend to go opposite each other because then I know, you know, I know it's right there, basically, put it that way. So it's going to be exactly the same as our lid, except it's going to be a drawer. So go down on each one of these. Try and get it straight. It's a little bit harder to see when it's a light colour, I know, but I think it's harder to see when it's dark colour too. So then we're going to go up to the first line and cut up to the second line on all of those. So again, we're going to flip it over. I don't need to rub anything out. We're going to fold these into our lip of valleys, just in on itself the whole time. Like this and this. I like doing the voiceover bit better than, sorry, I like doing this better than the voiceover. But it's not always possible with a house full of boys. And they're loud. They're loud. Okay. But they're all in their rooms yelling at each other, probably for video games. Not each other, but them and their friends. And I'm having some mummy time, okay? Again, make sure this is all flushed. The only downfall with having a little bit of glue is obviously you have to hold it there for a tiny bit. Hold it there for a bee's knees. And again, all these are going to be glued down, so we need to fold these back out for a minute. I'm just trying to make sure the glue doesn't go too close as a hairy bit. Too close to the edges of the cardstock because I don't really want glue oozing out. But if you get glue oozing out, this, I've got a couple of these. This is an adhesive eraser. And they start to look like this. And then you cut them down and they start to look like this. But they work really, really good. So that is what I use to get rid of any little bits of glue and goobies off the cardstock that are where I do not want them. Okay, so this is going to be our drawer. So now we've got 2 drawers. So our next piece we have is this one. So this is going to be one of our sides. Okay, so we've got right side up. We've got, first thing I'm going to do is I need to make sure this has got 3 1/4 along the top. Okay, because this time we're not square. So we have this piece here. I didn't tell you. Did I tell you? For the drawers you need a piece that is 9 by 9. Okay, so this one is 7 1/4 by 7 1/4. I told you that one. I'm not sure I told you about that one. This piece here is 6 3/4 by 6 1/2. You want the 3/4 of the top. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to squish this up to the 7 inch, because the first measurement we do is 1/2 inch. Okay, and then we're going to rotate that around. Does that make sense? You can go this way, but what I do is I find it easier and to go this way and just rotate it around. I'm not trying to, I'm right-handed. All the lefties have, I don't know, do you have more of a problem? I think you wouldn't, but anyway. And just score 1/2 inch. So we're going to rotate that around. So we have, now these measurements are not the same because they're not square, okay? So we've got 1/2 inch. We've got 3 5/8 for any Aussies. It is the next groove after your 3 1/2, okay? So you got 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8 is your half, which makes sense. 4/8, go back to your fraction days in school. You can divide that equally, brings it down to 1/2. And then the very next one is 5/8. And then the last one we have, and we don't, that's it. It's just those 2. And we're going to rotate that around. Okay, so the next thing we've got is 1 5/8, which is easy to do. So again, neck groove after the 1/2. And then we have 4 7/8, which is the groove just before the 5. The American preps, you know this, but so we have on the 6 1/2, 6 3/4, we've got 1/2 inch, 3 5/8. That's it. This way we have 1 5/8, and we have 4 7/8. Okay, okay. So what we're going to do with this one is we're basically going to take these little corners off, and that is it. We're going to, okay, what did I do my scissors? So slightly angle my tab. It's just easier to do it now. And this one. And go up corner. Okay, so that's what you have. So the very next thing we're going to do is slit these. So just go up to the score line again, okay? And then I am, again, this is one that you don't have to, but I do slip the, just cut little wedges. Again, it doesn't have to be much, it doesn't even have to be the whole way. So no stress. You've been on my channel for a while, you have heard me say no stress. I don't know if I went off screen then, but no stress, okay? So turn it over. We're going to score these as what? Valleys. Yes. Valley folds for all of them. So this is going to form part of my side. This is one of my sides. Okay. So next thing we have, bring this back. We have a piece that's 3.5 by 7.25. So we're going to have 7.25 across the edge. And this is another one where we're going to do, take it to the half. Well, this is what I do. And do score it at 1/2 inch. We're going to rotate that around. And then we're going to do 3 5/8. And then we're going to do 6 3/4, which is going to give us 1/2 inch at either edge. Okay, rotate. We have 1 5/8, and then we have 4 7/8. I'm really scared that I did the other one wrong. But it'll be about right, it'll be fine. Because we don't have the tab. That's why, we don't have a tab. It's okay. It's okay. So again, this time we're going to take all these corners off. I'm going to wedge these little bits again. And in fact, I'm already going to take these ones off too and wedge these ones here because I can. And you just don't want too much. You just a little bit, people. So what's happening in your end? I think I just woke up my iPad. Sorry if you heard that. At least she doesn't sort of start talking to you now. What's happening in your world? We had a beautiful day today, nice and warm. And I didn't say that I'm going to snip off these lines just up to the first score line. Wedge it a tiny bit. Again, you can do it if you want. You don't have to want if you don't want. Valley fold everything. So is it cold in your end of the world? My cousin, the one that we went to the wedding for, she went belated honeymoon to South Africa, and she had in places 37 degrees, and so then she came home and it was -2 in England. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to use this piece that has the 2 tabs on it, butt it up and line it up with the folds and just glue that down. Again, make sure that your edges are matchy and not, it's actually a good representation, but matchy and not thin. Now it may seem weird, but what we're going to do is glue these down flat. just give it a good burnish. This is going to just do our edges and give them a nice smooth finished look. It's also going to reinforce it a little bit like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is, this is why I wedged all these up, because we're going to glue each of these panels and glue them down. I think my voice is now going funny. I went for a drive all the way out to, not quite the airport at Melbourne, but close to the airport in Melbourne, because for a very, 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 very long time, like me being in my 20s, 19, 18, 20s, I've wanted an egg chair. Guess what's sitting in my backyard right now? So it's a combination of birthday and Christmas, because my birthday is in 2 weeks. So this is our outside. And then of course Christmas, so it's not too much. Okay, our drawers. These, one is going to be at the bottom like this, and one is going to be at the top like that. So therefore, and I can show you with this one. Therefore they open. Look at that. I think that's actually easier to see than the white. It's not white, it's like a creamy sort of colour. But that's what's going to happen. Okay? That's what the deal is. That's the thought process of it all. Super easy. Sometimes these things look really hard, but if you break it down, it's actually not. And once you get your head around it, which is why there is definitely going a video today, it makes it so much easier. So what I'm doing, you need to make sure that it's all flat, because you don't want a wonky box. Glue 2 sides. And this is easy in regards to gluing this one down, because you're going to glue 2 sides. Again, just be really cool for like for shares or something like that. And make sure you've got glue on the right side, and just do it flush with the top. Sorry if my head gets in the way. And so when it's flush, then I put it upside down and I press it down. So this way it's going to be flush with the bottom, the top of the box I should say, because this is the bottom. That is the legit piece of our box. That's going to be it. And so then the lid just sits on there like that. So we've got this. The added problem you have if you do this on white is obviously ink on your fingers. And white can be a little bit of a so-and-so. So I'm going to go around all the edges. Okay, so they're all done. I'll show you the papers as I put them on, but we'll just go with the flow and put these babies on as quickly as we can. Now, of course, you could speed up this area. Just make sure you mute me, basically, because I'd be sounding really bizarre. So my brickwork is this one. So it's with all the little cutout pieces and the tags and things like that. That's what I'm using. So I'm trying not to stress. So this afternoon, I don't know, later, this evening I should say, / afternoon, I'm heading to a friend's place, because there's a bunch of us that get together, and you know, like we go away together and all this sort of stuff. and we are having dipmas. I can hear you say, what is dipmas, Nat? Sounds weird. I know. Dipmas is just us catching up, and everyone brings a dip. I think someone saw it somewhere and just thought, that's a really cool idea, and we'll do that. So figure out which one is going to be your center, your middle, your front, one of those. Your front. For me, it's going to be this way. But you know, some places in the world, they open, it doesn't matter, does it really? And make sure you've got it the right way around, because you know, the benefit of this would be that you have a bit of wiggle room, so it can come up depending on your tape. You may cry. Just saying. Just saying. So we've got that. So that's going to open up. Okay. Now, I picked this cut paper, which is, where is it? With lots of picture frames and the very Tim Holtzy sort of steampunky, I suppose you call it. Animals, cats, deers, all that sort of stuff. Now, I decided I wanted to put this one here and this one here, which gave me grief, because then what do you put on all these other pieces? So I am just going to, so these pieces on the inside here are 2 7/8 or 7.3 centimeters by 13.3/16 or 8.1. These babies, and basically we're talking about all of these, so we need 12 of these if that's what you do. 2 of these, sorry, and 12 of these. These ones, I need my rule again, because they're basically all cut the same. So they are, in centimeters, we pretty much got 1.5 inches, okay, which is 3.7 centimeters by, what are we up to? 2, that's 8, just pretty much 2 7/8 by 7.2. Okay, 7.2. So we've got 8 of those babies. Now, this one, I showed you this one, did I not? I think I did. I did. This particular one is the very top of this. Now, these music notes, and obviously this, is not straight. If that causes you grief, no problem. But I'm not going to stress about it. The other paper that we're going to use is this one. And I've forgotten to ink around the edges of those ones. And that's this paper. So it's the cut apart, but not the bigger version cut aparts. They're slightly smaller. Okay. So I'll have to do that. So what I was thinking of, because I wanted to do this on the 2 sides. Let's push those out. We're going to, I need to fill up my glue bottle, I should say, not my water bottle. So we're going to put these 2. Sorry, there goes my bed, my phone, my bed. Oh my gosh. I introduced myself. Well, I've spoken to my neighbour a few times, my new neighbour, and she's lovely. She's really nice. I quite like her. And she's born a day before me. a couple of years on, but a day before me. So that's pretty much, let me silence my phone. So we've been chatting and I pretty much sort of went, we need to be Facebook friends because you are stuck with me. So there's a couple of slightly bigger ones, which we're going to put where we can see it. But in all honesty, you're not going to notice that these other ones are slightly wonky. Okay. And I'm talking that they are a tiny bit smaller, as in a millimetre, if that, nothing much. I thought for something different to use these, which was the top of that paper that we used on the front, which I know I said, but I'm going to say it again. On the inside, so these pieces here, I thought that would be fun and just a little bit different. I'm not going to do anything on the bottom of my drawers because, you know, these front pieces, as I said, I thought those two on there would look amazeballs. Hopefully you can't hear my husband too much. He is Bug's home, Liam's home. I call him Bug, I always have. I don't really know why. But I'm pretty sure you can probably hear my husband. So these centre bits here, and then I'm going to wait until he finishes gas bagging on the phone, because he just walked from home. These centre bits are going to be, or these bigger bits, are going to be for the insides. So there's 2 7/8 by 13.6, no, 3/16. Okay, so we jumped over to voiceover because my husband kept on talking, which is fine. It's his job. It's all good. But also I'm very, very aware of your time, and I thought I can speed this up. You don't have to see this part of the video. Anywho, I have the embossed die cards. I've gone around it on like all the edges with some walnut stain. I'm going to cut out this little Merry Christmas. I'm going to go back and forth to some of the papers. I'm going to use some of the smaller sentiments and also some of the smaller images, because especially around the top of the box, you sort of need something a little bit smaller, and there wasn't quite anything as small because in the embossed die cards, because it's a matter of, I'm going to use these two fairies two times because there's more than one sheet, so I'm going to use these 2 times, so stay tuned for that one. Yeah, so look at the smaller images, don't just stay with the die cut and go, oh no, that's too big. Again, going around the edges, I don't think I show you that again after this, so just know that I'm going around all the edges. I think there's a couple of the sentiments that I may do. Anywho, so I'm going to cut this holiday cheer out. I'm also later going to cut out that Christmas tree, which I think I do point out in another sheet of where it came from. And I'm gluing all these down between just standard flat glue to a little bit of foam tape. Now this foam I get is not a high profile, it's a very low profile sort of thing. So sometimes I double it up and sometimes I just have it singular. So it does double duty, so to speak. That's the top of my box here. The only thing you do need to make sure is with brickwork, obviously, if you're going to do the front of your project or say an album, then you just got to make sure that, like for your brickwork, make sure it goes at the same direction. So spoiler alert, I actually had to pull my brickwork off the top of my cardstock, which was okay because it hadn't sort of dried too much. But I realized when I went to do didn't double check it when I went to do my two little angels on the front of my box. So I had to quickly sort of pull it up, and that's it. So this is that little Christmas tree that we cut out from here. I'm also going to come back, it is Let It Snow. I'm also going to come back to that little owl later on. And again, so this part is pretty much like a stick and plonk, what I would call a stick and plonk. I don't know, it's just finding little positions for it. I just want something for this corner. So I've got another little reindeer that comes up. I have a question for you. Let me know in the comment box down below. We have deer here in Australia. They're not where I live, put it that way, not where I live. But I'm in Melbourne, over towards the South Australia border, I believe, and probably other places, but that's where I know of. They have deer. And I've seen deer in the States. I've never seen a reindeer. But what's the difference? Okay, we'll come back to that. So my foam, double thick foam, cleared the top of my lid perfectly. You don't want it to be too low a profile because then your star is going to get caught. And I put foam a little bit too high up, and so we're going to pick him off a tiny bit. So this way my foam clears, my Christmas trees clears the lid beautifully. I'm going to say beautifully because I didn't have a problem with it. There was one problem that I had, and some silly person had put her finger on the top of the Christmas tree. I don't know who that was, but I'm going to use the Joy and that little angel and cut him out, or them out, and adhere to the side of my lid here. So what is the difference between reindeer? Is it a size? Is there just a distant cousin? Pretty much nothing. Do we know? Does anyone know? Let me know down in the box, because I'm curious. As I said, I don't have it. This scrap piece of paper, the brickwork was perfect. I just needed to trim, almost perfect, okay? I just needed to trim off the side. Again, my foam tape is a very low profile, so be aware of that. If you stick some really high profile foam on the back of this baby, it's not going to shut as well, depending on how big it is. It might be a little bit tighter, or it might be super annoying. So just be aware. So we don't have too much more to go. We've just got the very front of my drawers here. If you are still watching, thank you very, very much. I really do appreciate your time. I hope you found it. Even if you haven't watched it to this end, you won't be hearing this, but even if you sped up a little bit in the middle of it just to get the parts that you want, like the construction, get ideas, I really do appreciate your time, and I really do appreciate you stopping by and watching my video. It's just awesome. I have this little sentiment for the very back of my box now, my drawers, I should say. It's a box. It becomes a box. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. It is Happy Holidays. I just needed a sentiment on the back of it. We've already got the one on the inside, or the big owly one, but it didn't feel like it was finished. So I'm going to trim out these two more little sweet little what are they, fairies. They're really quite cute, and I really like this one because it's sort of sticking in and sticking its head over and to say hello. I just like it. Okay, so down below there is a link over to my blog that has more photos, and especially with cutting it all out and everything else, and all the products that I used today. So that's my little box all finished. I didn't bother with the lid. You can, but I didn't see the point in doing it for myself. So that is my little drawers. I hope you're well. Take care. and I'll talk to you very, very soon in the next video. See ya.